This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show.
YouTube, what is up? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at you, and today we're taking a look at the magical flying fox. It's a new RDA that was sent over free for the purpose of this review by thecloudyvaper.com. And I will have an affiliate link in the description on this video. That affiliate link, it does give me 7% commission when you place an order at thecloudyvaper.com. Full disclosure, it won't affect my review in any way. But before we get into this review, I do need to take the time to remind you that we all have a part to play in the fight against big tobacco, big pharma, the FDA, and the deeming regulations that are looming over our heads. That means if you're on social media, remember to paint the best possible image of the vape community that you can. If you're a shop or a shop owner, remember it's your duty to remind your customers that they need to get in this fight if they want to keep vaping. And remember to support all of CASAA's calls to action, including those to support HR 2058 and the Cole-Bishop Amendment. We all have a part to play. Mini-Me is going to sit this one out, guys. He's going to sit out the next few, actually, because I'm about 30 reviews deep and I need to catch up. Mini-Me, as cool as he is a bit of a drama queen and takes a while to get himself all ready and made up for you guys. He's a bit of a punk that way. Anyway, so we're just going to do this one and probably the next few the old-fashioned way. Mini-Me will be back eventually. The Magical Flying Fox. Coolest name ever, and the coolest logo too. It comes in this little tin. It's kind of a cheapo kind of tin. It feels a little flimsy. The plastic at the top is, well, it's almost rubbery. It's super thin. It's basically just a cheapo kind of tin with a really awesome logo. Probably one of the coolest logos that I've ever seen in vaping. Mythical, magical creature. It's just freaking cool. I love it. I love the kind of banner they have going on with the Flying Fox name, the Magical Flying Fox, and it's got like these little symbols on the sides of this, and it's kind of repeated right on the device itself too. Open it on up. You got your RDA sitting in this little bit of foam here. I love the look of this device, and it's weighty too. I mean, it's a hefty piece of metal. I mean, there's weight to this. It's a 24mm RDA with a nice giant build deck. The build deck is a velocity style deck, which has kind of become the norm these days. It's just almost a standard, but it's so wide. The posts are so wide here. This build is, you might recognize it, this is the build from the Griffin RTA when I did that review, and I also had the build video. It's the Super Soaker Staple Tiger coil, and I kind of just reused the coil in here because I know it's a good coil, I like it, it's a lot of flavor. When I put it in here, it was a bit of a stretch. It didn't want to fit in there. It's a pretty chunky coil too. It's like it really needs a few extra wraps to make this build work right in here and fit the way that it should, the way that I would normally build it. But it does the trick. Now, building on this, I would say, you know, the standard I usually put on something is maybe 5-6 wraps, something like that. It needs something wide. It needs a nice wide build in here to take advantage of this deck because the posts are spaced so wide apart. And I kind of dig that. I do, because you know, it's really going to leave room for some really chunky builds. And lots of parallel and staged heating builds too. That's what I would love to put in here, more staged heating builds. I'm not going to take out the wick or anything. You can kind of get the idea of what I've done here. I've got the wicks going off the coils down into these little chambers on either side. And then I stuffed the middle with a little bit of cotton. I haven't had any leaking on this thing, and I've been pretty impressed with that, honestly. I haven't had any leaking issues with it, which is pretty impressive for something with bottom airflow like this. I've been actually just dumping juice right down the middle and haven't had a single problem. It's a cloud machine is what it is, okay? Because you've got airflow on the bottom, Kennedy style airflow on the bottom, which is completely non-adjustable. It's always open on both sides. And you've got like this sort of shower nozzle going on inside airflow here with like this sort of stepped staircase of little pinholes through the body of the device. And inside you've got your airflow control. It's kind of cool because you can turn the adjustable airflow one way and it starts to close it down from the small side. Just turning it that way, you've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 airflow options. And then you can actually turn it the other way instead and it gives you 6 more airflow options. Again, secure with a single O-ring. It makes it turn nice and easy in here. No problem turning that. Perfect tolerances. It's really cool the way that this thing works in terms of the variety of airflow settings that you can get out of it. The heat dissipation fins are nice too. This device hasn't gotten hot on me at all. The drip tip is super wide, and it's actually pretty comfortable considering how wide that is. Drip tip is good and beefy, secure with a single O-ring, but it's not going anywhere. It is stepped at the bottom, but oh so slightly, and it is all Delrin. It never gets hot. Of course, there's no adapter, so you can't use your own drip tips. You kind of got that chuff, and if you don't like a big chuff cap, it's not going to be for you. This device is really for the cloud comp nut, though. The guy that likes to blow some massive clouds. I wouldn't describe it as a flavor addy. Now, a lot of bottom airflow addies, Kennedy style addies, you can get a lot of airflow with this bottom airflow design. And if you close off the side airflow holes completely, you can get some decent flavor out of this. Yeah, that's some decent flavor. That's a good amount of airflow. I'd say the Kennedy probably has better flavor. The Tsunami probably has a bit better flavor than this, with the side airflow closed. It's got the beginnings of a conical top cap, but it really doesn't do a whole lot for the flavor, to be honest with you, just because the bore is just so big on the drip tip that it doesn't have enough of a conical tip to make any bit of difference, if you ask me. It's still pretty good. With the sides airflow closed, you can still get some pretty decent flavor out of this thing. And tons of clouds. But where this thing really shines is for the cloud lover, the person that really doesn't care a whole lot about flavor and really just wants to blow the most massive clouds that they possibly can. Absurd. Now, there's no flavor when you do that. I'll tell you that now. There's next to no flavor when you open it up that much. And that's all the way open. And I've got it turned up to 130. We're going to turn it up to 150. Clouds are just ridiculous. It's probably one of the cloudiest atomizers that I've ever used. For the cloud comp nut, this is, the be all end all. This is just a ridiculous amount of clouds you can get off this RDA. I've heard that they were going to name this RDA the Lee Harvey Oswald because it was the Kennedy killer originally. And in terms of airflow, in terms of cloud production, yeah, I'd say it has one over on the Kennedy. Just redonk. Ridiculous clouds. So the one thing that's really weird about this RDA to me is that it has a single airflow option for the side airflow. There's your 2 dual airflow options and your single airflow option. The bottom airflow is always open. There's no way to close it off at all. It's really made to be a dual airflow RDA, but it's got that single airflow option. So, I just find that strange. That's just me though. Why bother having a single airflow option when you can't have a single airflow option with the bottom air? That's the one thing about the RDA that I find completely quirky. But other than that, I like it. I like it for the massive clouds. I like it for the logo a lot, honestly. I'm kind of a logo freak. I love a good logo on an RDA. I do. It's a fun device to mess around with. Not to mention, it's $40. Yeah, the price tag on this is $40. And that's coming from an American company. I think they probably manufacture outside the country, but it's an American company. That's a pretty good price for an authentic. You can't really argue. $40. Clouds for days. Anyway, guys, that is the Magical Flying Fox. You can pick it up at thecloudyvapor.com, and if you use the link in the description, it helps support the channel. I get a 7% commission, full disclosure. You guys have a great one, and remember, support HR 2058 and the Cole Bishop Amendment. Vape on, Vapers.